A few days ago, James and I were about to hop onto some Modern Warfare to blow off some steam when he brought something to my attention. You can play as Skeletor in Call of Duty. Okay, now I don't know if you all know this, but I kinda love Skeletor. Ever since I was a kid, I love the old show, I love the new show, I love the 1987 live-action Frank Langella film version of Skeletor, and just everything in between. And even though I play COD really not that much, I found myself instantly trying to untangle the web of in-game currency and figure out how much it would cost me. It's $23.97 by the way, and that is of course if you buy the cheapest combination of duty dollars or whatever across 3 different bundles so you don't have any leftovers. But before I pulled the trigger, dear viewer, I stopped myself, because in a moment of clarity, I realized I didn't feel good about what I was doing. Not only for my wallet, mind you, that price is crazy stupid, but also because what the heck does Skeletor even have to do with a modern military shooter? Wait, COD is still a modern military shooter, right? Well, the more I perused the store, the less of that feeling I got. Rather, it seemed, it had become, people tell me a while ago, more of what I'd call an unthemed world. That felt pretty crappy to me. And sadly, it is not an isolated incident in the game space these days. Magic is releasing a Marvel set, Homelander is coming to Mortal Kombat, and John Wick is in Payday. Like, when did we decide that a zany mishmash of nostalgia and recognizable IP watering down a game's world was better than, say, creating novel things in those holistic worlds that we could all really lose ourselves in? Oh, that's right, Fortnite. But thanks so much to World Anvil for providing the tools that make the creation of awesome worlds that we can lose ourselves in a breeze. Alright, this is a bit of a PSA, and I'm going to start it by coming off a bit more incendiary than I really mean to, but there was a time when the games industry created things, where we built worlds and created characters more than we relied on nostalgia and IP recognition to part you from your money. Or, to put it in a much more fair and honest context, design used to be more important than business development in determining what got into your games. But step by step these days, especially in the AAA space, that seems like it's becoming less true. And to examine this decline, we need to talk about Fortnite and the idea of the unthemed world. You see, for most of gaming history, creating worlds you could immerse yourself in was one of our key design goals. We would create style guides and write out tons of backstory you might not ever see to ensure the world felt real and holistic. The goal being that you, the player, was never knocked out of the experience you were having by something popping up that felt inconsistent or wrong. It's why you don't see Pac-Man show up in Pitfall. It's why Tony the Tiger never danced across the screen in Castlevania. It's why there aren't laser blasters in The Last of Us or nunchucks in BioShock. Things like that, big or small, would break the spell. Heck, even things as simple as, say, Space Invaders or Galaga had consistency in their enemies. You don't fight a bunch of tonally disparate aliens in Galaga, you fight bugs all the way through. And even if you play games for the mechanics and don't really care what the theming is, there's still a subconscious effect that having a consistent theme has on play, regardless of what that vision is. And if you don't believe me, that's totally fine. Maybe an example will help. Go over to your chessboard, okay? Now, remove a third of the pieces and replace them with M&Ms. The meltier the better. Then, replace another third with Barbies. That should be enough. If you did that, you'd see pretty clearly that it at least feels different, even though you probably think of yourself playing chess solely for the mechanics. And in more ways than one, that reskinning of a few playable pieces in that example, that's kind of what Fortnite is. It's the unthemed world. And while Fortnite is not the first game to try random crossovers, Epic did come up with a key insight on how to get players to accept them all the time. They realized that just replacing the piece on a chessboard feels bad, because even if it had a theme, it was minor. However, if their game establishes from the get-go the idea that the theme is having no theme, or infinite themes that rotate a bunch through seasons, there's no off-ramp for your brain to stop and say, wait, this doesn't make sense. And people will buy into any tie-in or crossover event that they can sell. That so long as they tell the player, this is a wacky place where anything can happen, and find an art style to match, they can make the world itself as disjointed as they want. They can put anything in it, and people just treat it like a meme. And once they do that, what else can they do? Why, cash in on nostalgia and positive association, of course, i.e. they can sell skins of anything. And this is one of the greatest tricks the industry ever pulled. Because think about it, we'd hate it if random advertisements popped up in our games, let's cut that garbage out real quick, or nonsensical product placement littered our favorite TV shows. But make no mistake, that is exactly what's happening in Fortnite, except now they're getting us to pay for the privilege. If you happen to be rocking that Attack on Titan skin, well, you're probably a lot more likely to remember to watch the new season, and maybe even excitedly tell your teammates about when it comes out. Heck, there's some non-zero number of people who probably saw you sporting that skin, thought, hey, that looks awesome, looked up where it came from, and because of it, watched attack for the first time, all for the low, low price you spent of $19.99 advertising for them. And this isn't a hit on Attack or any specific IP. The IP could be great. The IP could be my favorite thing in the world. Hi, Skeletor. But to me, it still feels like the opposite of good. And as we've seen, this is a very alluring prospect for a game company. All of that is to say that the industry seems to be learning the following lesson. Brand recognition is more important than having an experience the player can really immerse themselves in. Putting Spawn in your game will net you more dollars way faster than creating a truly holistic world. And this, more often than not, just sucks, because it drains all of the meaning and value out of all of the things, both the world you're putting these characters in and the characters themselves, papering them over with a veneer of positive association and external identity markers. And I'm sorry I'm rambling a little bit, but just think about this for a second. Lord of the Rings, right? It wouldn't actually be better if it was filled with, like, Transformers and Jedi. Now, even I can admit that in my 8-year-old brain, that seems awesome in the moment that I think of it, because I'd get to have that dopamine hit of a bunch of things I love in one place. But there is no doubt it would be vapid and devoid of meaning. This new Middle-earth, Rings of the Jedi, Cybertron, would lose everything I loved about Lord of the Rings, because by cramming all of those things together into that world, it would inherently make that world about cramming all of those things together. I don't even want to think about a world where Starscream gets a ring of power. But if just shoving IP together like a bunch of action figures can be wildly profitable, then that kind of creates an incentive to more and more not bother building worlds. Because creating is risky. Creating is expensive. Why would a big company trying to make a profit even take that risk if they didn't have to? Heck, why would they let their employees risk creating something new? That's not going to guarantee the most money. Which is how we get to this state of slowly congealing IP slurry, where it feels like there's eventually only going to be a handful of recycled IP out there, sold to us over and over in things that are no longer actually meaningful in and of themselves, but are simply vehicles to deliver us stuff we positively identify with straight to our brains via our wallets. And I hope this didn't come off as a bunch of, like, finger wagging. I want to be very clear as well, I don't think Fortnite is the issue itself. Having one or even a few of these out there is relatively benign, and I think there's room for a few unthemed worlds out there in the public zeitgeist. My issue is really the lessons that more and more game companies seem to be taking from Fortnite's success. And trust me, I really don't want to rain on parades or yuck yums or any of that. But if this doesn't stop, I could see a world where all of the things that we love in gaming and entertainment are just going to have the souls sucked out of them. And we, the consumers, are the only ones that can put a stop to it. I really want to stop rewarding naked pandering when I can. Because as long as we keep buying that Assassin's Creed crossover into Magic, or shelling out a bunch of money because they put Ninja Turtles onto something we love, rather than actually delivering us something good or meaningful, I do believe that companies are just going to keep doing that at a faster and faster pace. I want to start reminding companies why they even have anything to sell, why they even have IP to mine my nostalgia with in the first place. And here it is. It's because creative people were allowed to take risks. They made new and different things we all had the opportunity to fall in love with. Look, I know how many meaningful moments, how many life-changing experiences I've had with games and books and television and film. I can't imagine I would be who I am without those. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this all the way through to here, you probably feel the same in that respect. So I guess what I want to do with this episode is remind everyone not to just fall into I understood that reference, malaise, when we're spending our very limited time and money on games. Because that's the only way any of these large companies will ever walk back from this precipice, if the money slows down. So sadly, this is on all of us. Because even if we like Fortnite, I don't think any of us want everything to be Fortnite, right? I mean, that seems like a fate worse than even Skeletor could conceive.
Shut it, you bumbling boob! Where are we dropping?
Oh boy. Actually, though, this episode did come at a rather fortuitous time if you would want any of the worlds that you build not to fall into this unthemed trap. Because today, and I am just so psyched about this, we get to once again tell you all about World Anvil. So World Anvil is the ultimate software solution for tabletop gamers, novelists, narrative designers, and really just anyone who loves world building. Because with World Anvil, you get a world building suite, an RPG campaign manager, and novel writing and publishing software all in one. aka just all of the tools you need to focus on the fun parts of world building. For instance, as a game master myself, I love using their digital GM screen, interactive maps, and tools for when I'm playing my Curse of Strahd D&D campaign, but they also support Pathfinder and 45 plus more RPG systems as well. And World Anvil helps me keep all of my lore and stats just one click away in wiki-like articles. For, you know, when my PCs inevitably ask me about that one NPC who sold them a sandwich one time and like what their whole deal is, I got it right there. And to be fair, it was a changeling and it was a good story. Or what if you're writing a novel? Well, in that case, World Anvil's features like family trees, mind mapping, and plot templates, which are all based on proven storytelling methods, are just invaluable. Not to mention, with publishing and monetization tools built in, it truly is a one-stop shop. Heck, even Writer's Digest lists them as one of the best websites for writers. So if you want to be able to create, store, and organize all of your awesome ideas and have a great time doing it, you can try World Anvil absolutely free right now. But for a limited time, you can also receive 51% off any premium membership when you use our code Extra Credits. Seriously, we just love these folks, and I know you will too. So click here to start crafting your own worlds, and once you're done, check out another of our worlds here.
Thank you so much to Ahmed Ziad Turk, Angelo Valenciana, Arclight Games, Dominic Valenciana, Ilkner, Izzy Coin, Joseph Blame, and Kuyakoi for being the absolute best legendary patrons.